Well, good morning folks, Ken Ring here of www.briticweather.com. It's the 20th of September and the question is, why is it cold at the moment and why is there wind around at the moment? Well, it's cold because the moon was at its southernmost point on the 12th, which started the generation of southerlies, a situation called the southern declination that happens every 27 days. And if you see here, the moon's here at the moment. It was here and now it's kind of gone that way. See, here's the southern hemisphere from here upwards, because here's the equator, and this arc that the moon does, what we've pictured is the moon at its midpoint in its transit across the sky. Well, it goes lower and lower and lower down the sky because it ends up on the other side of this line with this arc going over that way, and then it comes back up again and it goes down, and it's called the ascending and descending moon. And when it's at the highest point above our hemisphere, it's called the southern declination. Now it drags colder air up from the poles over New Zealand when it's at that southern declination. So after that, it's after the 12th, which was the southernmost point, it generates these southerly winds, and they gather momentum, and they take a few days to do that, and they bring cold winds up the country. And it's windy because the moon has moved on from there and it's just about to cross the equator, and it'll be doing that today on the 20th. It'll be changing hemispheres, and the crossing of the equator is called the lunar equinox. Now when it does that, it moves faster. It's like the midpoint of a pendulum, and that faster movement creates winds. So that's why we've got the cold, and that's why we've got the windy conditions just getting themselves worked up. By the time the southerlies or the southwesterlies get up to Auckland, they haven't got much rain left in them. It mainly affects the south of the South Island because they're closer to the South Pole. So these southwesterlies, they're mainly just breezy by the time they get up where I am, up in Auckland here. And the west side gets of the country gets more of it than the east side when it comes to southwesterlies. So Hawke's Bay will probably stay dry for a few days, and in fact I've got some rain coming for them over Labour weekend. Now this system happening now will probably blow over quite quickly because weather systems move faster over the lunar equinox. As I said, the midpoint of a pendulum, it goes faster at that point, and of course the wind brings the rain, but it also blows it away quickly. So after tomorrow it'll go dry again fairly quickly, and some places won't even be getting any rain. In Ireland it should stay mainly dry. I think just a few odd showers here or there, but mainly dry until the end of the month. But there's some pretty cold temperatures coming in a few days, because once the moon gets clear of the equator and starts to get into its northern position, it'll be at its northernmost point, which will be down here somewhere in the sky, but closer to the northern hemisphere. That'll be the 27th, and then it'll start dragging northern polar winds over the northern hemisphere. And I think some of the coldest temperatures of the winter season may arrive after that for some counties. There could be some heavy frosts in some places coming up in a few days' time, probably about a week or so. In Australia, in Western Australia, I think the wind will get in there by about Thursday, and most rain for Australia should be in the top half of the country until about the weekend, and then this swaps over, and the last part of the weekend will probably bring rain to the southeast of the country more than anywhere else. And in Christchurch, the lunar equinox is coupled with an apogee. That's tomorrow. No, that's today, sorry. And the lunar equinox means east-west fault lines, which would be activated, because that's the way it goes. When the moon's at its northern or southern declination, you get the north-south fault lines going. So it's east-west, which explains the recent 5 mag strike that happened today. Because if it was north-south, it probably would have been further to the west, near the fault line that's running under the Alps. And that will be the prognosis with the northern declination, which will happen next week. So unless the sunspots stay high, and I don't think they will, I don't expect any further developments in terms of earthquakes until the 23rd, which will be the full moon, and then on the northern declination, which will be the 27th. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you tomorrow.